In this lesson, we'll wrap up this beginner's guide to typography with a few final thoughts on type. Alright, now I know I've thrown a lot at you over these last few lessons, but really in all reality we've only scratched the surface when it comes to typography. Now I am working with the file 09_begin, but I'm really only going to be using this as some examples if you want to open that up and follow along. Now I know with all the typefaces out there, your head may just absolutely be swirling with type at this point, but there's a few basic questions you should probably ask yourself before beginning any project. And probably the first is, are the typefaces that I'm choosing to use in this project, are they appropriate? Things you should consider when choosing appropriate typefaces are, for example, your audience and the demographic of that audience. Is your audience old or are they very young? If they're an older audience, then you might consider increasing the point size of things like body copy to ensure that they're readable. If your audience is younger, then you may be able to get away with more of a modern typeface for body copy and it really used throughout the overall design. Now, the two main things that you need to keep in mind when choosing typefaces for your designs are, one, the legibility. Now, as designers, we really don't have a lot of control over the legibility of a specific typeface. For example, this one down here. Legibility refers to the design of the typeface, how each individual letter form is designed. What we do have control over is of which typefaces we choose to use. Now, we also have control over the readability of our typefaces. This is going to be how you deploy these typefaces throughout your design. Now, we've already talked about some things that affect readability, one being maybe the leading that you've used in some body copy, or have you actually allowed for enough space between letter forms in a headline, and maybe you need to track that or kern that a little bit. Now, I do want to leave you with just a couple of final thoughts when it comes to typeface selection. I would say that you should limit yourself on any project to no more than 3, possibly 4 typefaces. Adding additional typefaces can really make your project seem cluttered and really be confusing to readers. When it comes to selecting these 3, possibly 4 typefaces, consider the level of contrast between them. Choose a nice typeface that you're going to use maybe for your headers or for your title, and then choose a contrasting typeface for subheaders. An example of what you wouldn't want to do is choose 2 sans serif typefaces that are very similar in design. Or for another example, 2 sans serif typefaces that are 2 serif typefaces that are, again, very similar in design. You want to produce that contrast between, say, your headers and your subheaders to really draw attention to each one of them. Now, this is going to bring us to the conclusion of this beginner's guide to typography. Now, from here, if you want to learn more about type, Digital Tutors has several different training courses that you can go through at this point. A good place to start would be our Fundamentals of Typography course. Here we'll build on the knowledge we already have of typography, learning additional techniques and tricks to help make you successful at designing with type. After that, depending on where your software interests lie, you could go through Getting Started with InDesign CS5, a course where we jump right into the application and learn the basic tools and workflows by applying them to a project. Or you could go through Introduction to Illustrator CS5, where we'll focus on getting you up and running in Illustrator. After that, feel free to jump into some more focused or advanced topics, such as Introduction to Paragraph Styles and Character Styles in InDesign CS5, or even creating a trifold brochure in InDesign CS5. So if you've enjoyed this course and want to learn more, make sure to check out all of the additional courses we have available at Digital-tutors.com.